Hey everybody! Today I'm just going to show you a quick video on stamping repetitive patterns with my Misty. I'm using this month's My Paper Pumpkin stamp set. This stamp set features an Ikat design. It usually refers to fabric whose yarn has been tie-dyed and then woven. And so you get really fun, colorful patterns. And that's why this style is perfect for kind of a bright, happy card today. Now, I will confess that up until this moment when I looked this up for this video, I had been pronouncing this term iCat. You know, like you have an iPhone, an iPad, and an iCat. It's going to take me a long time to break this habit, but I'm going to try it during this video. So the first thing I did was I prepared my Misty with the positioning sheet that I showed you in this other video. And then I put the stamp on the right hand side of the Misty. Then I'm going to ink my stamp up in real red and stamp it onto the positioning sheet. And this is going to be my guide for finishing this entire card because that sheet's never going to move. So I can just move my cardstock around and line it up with the image on the sheet and I know it'll be perfect. So I'm going to line it up here, and I use both the grid on the positioning sheet, especially with a pattern like this that definitely has a horizontal line that's straight. You want to make sure that you're also using the grid as well as just lining it up with the design. Now you don't have to worry if your cardstock moves because you're going to be moving this around each time you stamp. Now I have to flip this because it doesn't fit the other way. You can experiment with where to stamp your image on your positioning sheet. I didn't take a lot of time to do that, but some math genius will figure out the perfect position so that you can just move it over. Try to get in the habit when you first get your Misty of wiping the excess ink off the lid of the Misty before you stamp. It won't, when you close the lid, it won't transfer the ink to your project because of the depth of the stamp. But I do find that I get my fingers all over it, and then sometimes I can transfer that to my project. So I'm trying to just get in the habit of doing it every single time I stamp. Okay, so you can see here that when I stamped the second time, my stamp was actually hanging off, and so I probably got a little bit of ink onto the foam of the Misty, which I can just clean up with a baby wipe. But it's better just to take one of her little pieces of grid paper and put that in there so that you can stamp without worrying about transferring ink to the foam. Now my next row, of course, is going to be orange. So the first thing I want to do is clean this stamp really thoroughly. And I like to just do this with a wipe. I'm going to show you another video about a great way to clean your stamps. But I also like to blot it with a paper towel and then test it on a piece of cardstock, just to make absolutely sure that red isn't going to transfer to something else. So I just have a little scrap here. I just pick it up and look and see if I've got any ink. And then when I'm ready, I move to my next color, which is Tangerine Tango. Ink that up, clean it off, get in the habit. Put the positioning sheet down so that I can then line up the stamps exactly where I want them. And you could do this with a clear block, of course, but you can't do what I'm about to do next with the clear block because I've tried, and I can assure you that it doesn't work. The only way I've ever been able to successfully do this is with the Misty. So I didn't even know what I was missing. So when I stamp my first impression, you'll see I used this in class this weekend, and this ink pad is looking kind of sad. I didn't re-ink it. So this is what sold me on the Misty. All I have to do is line that up. And when you're looking through a clear stamp, you're getting distortion from the acrylic block, and the stamp itself is clear, and there's ink around the edges. So you actually can't see the edges clearly defined, and you can never get it in the same place. It's always going to overlap a little bit. But with the Misty, I know it's in exactly the right place. I can line it up and stamp with 100% confidence. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Stamp once, line it up, stamp again, and my ink is absolutely perfect in its full strength. So now I won't make you watch me do this every time at regular speed. I am kind of a slow stamper. And I've learned from a couple of classes recently that it's really a good idea to take the extra time to be precise, especially when you're stamping clean and simple cards, which is my favorite kind of card. Now I will say that the yellow is harder to see on this video, but I had the same issue. It wasn't stamping really full strength until I stamped it twice, and I get such vivid, smooth color. You can see the difference there in what those two impressions look like, and it's just amazing what getting another perfect impression on top of that does. So I'll carry on with the green and the blue. If you don't want to add the positioning sheet, which for whatever reason, it just really works with my brain, having that sheet there. I guess it's, it's enough like the Stamp-A-Majig that it feels comfortable to me. But you can also just put your stamp side down on the image and without any ink on it, and you can line it up really well that way. Then just pick it up with the lid of your MISTI and stamp again. But I find that I get the most precise over stamping if I use the sheet, and you can see here how easy it is to line up. Just choose colors that really work for the alignment on your sheet, and you'll be fine. So there you have really a perfect little Ikat or Ikat rainbow when you're done, and I can just stamp a greeting and finish it off. So thanks a bunch for watching.